You'd be shocked at how many people ruin their health, their identity, and their relationships in retirement, even though they think they're doing everything right. I'm going to share with you a story that has a very valuable life lesson in it that most people learn too late. Story's about my dad, and I think you know how the story ends based upon the title. But my dad was the most amazing father. I remember so many times as a young boy, my dad taking me to Boy Scout camping in the summer, encouraging me to get Eagle Scout, being really patient with me in sports because I was a terrible athlete and he was a great athlete. He was a Marine, so he was big and he was strong and he was powerful, and I was small and I was weak and I was fragile, but he never made me feel that way. He always put me up on a pedestal. He always encouraged me. He taught me so many life lessons. He taught me how to work with my hands. By the time I bought my first house, I was able to put a kitchen in the house, a skylight, a sliding glass door, all because my dad taught me all the things that his father taught him. And he passed it down to me, and I'm so grateful for that. During college, he was very encouraging for me. I got myself in a little bit of trouble. I didn't behave myself like I should have. My grades weren't that good. But finally, when it was time to retire, I was doing really well. And my dad encouraged me to come into the family business with him. I would be the fourth generation person in our family business, the Rollins Agency, that was founded by my great-grandfather in 1910. And he came in and he had no training for me. He had really no idea what to do with me. But because he was a tough Marine, he said, listen, here's what you got to do. You got to learn the business, and then you have to go out and knock on doors and sell insurance. And I did that. And I did that working with my dad side by side for about 25 years. And my dad became my greatest mentor, my best friend, just the most wonderful person that I've ever met in my life. But something happened when it was time for him to retire, and it made me reflect back on some things when I was a kid. I remember coming home from school, and I remember, doing my homework because I wanted to be there when my dad got home from work at 6 or 6:30, and I wanted to spend time with him. I wanted to play ball in the backyard and do things like that, show him how well I did cutting the grass. But when he came home from work, nearly every night, the first thing he did was grab the newspaper, make himself a scotch, and sit at the kitchen table and read the paper. And I remember my mom used to say to me, you got to give your dad a little bit of time, let him read the paper, let him have his drink, let him relax, and then he's all yours. And I didn't think much of it at the time, but that's how I grew up. So my dad would work all day, come home, have a drink to relax. Well, I started to do the same thing in my 30s. I had a rough day at work and I'd say, I really need to have a drink to relax. So I thought that's what I needed to do to relax. What I didn't realize is that the alcohol was actually numbing me. But fast forward to my dad, age 65, it's time for him to retire. And he does. And he's excited about it. He takes my mom and they go to Florida for about 8 months a year, and he's playing golf with his buddies 3 days a week, and he's having some drinks, going out to lunch, going home, taking a nap, taking my mom to dinner. But what I didn't realize, and he didn't realize, is that he was really struggling, and much of it was silent. He didn't talk about it, he didn't share it, he didn't want others to know about it. But what happened to him when he retired is he lost his identity. And he spent almost his whole life talking about what he used to do. He never evolved into something different. He struggled with figuring out what to do with his 40 plus hours of free time that came his way. Sure, he filled it with golf and time with his buddies and out to lunch and drinking and hanging out and having fun. But that took a toll on his health. The third thing was really creating a new identity. I mean, he used to be the CEO of the company. Now he wasn't. And he did not reinvent himself like I think he should have into something different to use his skills and his talents and his gifts. I tell people that he took all of his gifts and talents and he put it into a nice box, tied a bow on it, put it on a shelf in the garage, and that was it. And he died at the age of 80. So he lasted 15 years in retirement. And I believe that if he had available to him the framework that Jody and I have built today, and we call it the problem retirement drift. We've actually named it, and it's a whole bunch of different things. But if he had the solution that Jody and I have, and the mentality that we have, and the drive that we have, I believe that he would still be alive today. And that's part of the reason why we started this company, because the day he died, he was 80 years old, and I remember my phone ringing 3 times in my pocket, and I'm in a very important meeting, and I couldn't really grab my phone, but I finally did. I saw it was my sister-in-law, and sure enough, she was calling to tell me my dad had passed. I went up to my hotel room, I booked a flight home, but I realized at that point in time, I was not going to have a retirement like my father did. I was going to have a different one. And here we are today with this new company, Retirement Transformed, and building a much better life for Jody and I than my dad had. So it's a sad story, but there's a lot of lessons in there. So let's talk a little bit about why people get this wrong. I mentioned the word retirement drift. You know, there are so many things that happen to you when you retire, when you leave your job. You lose relationships, you lose your identity, you lose your your purpose and your passion. So you've got to be aware of that and do something about it. And in our online course and in our masterminds that we run, we talk a lot about that so you can reinvent it. The second thing that many people do, and I think men have a harder time with this, is that we tend to, and you might as well, tie your identity into your job. CEO, CFO, doctor, lawyer, policeman, whatever it might be. That's not your identity. Your identity is you as a human with your gifts and your talents. And because you've been a lawyer or a doctor or an insurance agent for 38 years, for me, doesn't mean that's who I'm going to be in the future. So you need to think about, what will your identity be as you go forward? Don't think that it's tied into what you've done for your whole career. So that's the second reason why men get things wrong. The third reason why people get things wrong is society has been telling us a lie. They're selling a very shallow version of retirement. One where you play golf, you watch TV, you sit around and relax all day long, and that's not true. It just isn't true. That will kill you, and that's what killed my dad. So let's reframe it. The first thing you need to think about is, this stage in your life is an entirely new chapter that allows you to become who you were really meant to be. I truly believe that all of us have a calling, much bigger than we know what it is. And it's that little inside voice that's been telling us for years what we could do or should do or maybe could do. But we say, no, I can't do that. I can't write a book. I can't do a YouTube channel. I can't teach. I can't mentor. I can't work part-time. I can't be an Uber driver. There's so many things that you can do in this stage of life, but we limit ourselves. We have a belief that society has told us this is the time to withdraw and relax and do nothing. And that's completely wrong. The second thing you need to think about is, rest is not the reward of retirement. Everybody says, I can't wait to wake up when I want to wake up. I can't wait to watch TV all day long. I can't wait just to lay around. Listen, that's great for a day, a week, a month, even a year. Take a year off. But during that time, think about what it is you're going to do to fill your time, change your identity, and find purpose. Because that's what it's all about. And the third thing you really want to think about is relationships. And I don't know if I mentioned that when I told the story about my dad, but he lost so many relationships when he left his career. And the same thing's going to happen to you. It happened to me. It happens to everyone. Sure, you keep a few, but you've got to work at creating new relationships with the kind of people that you want to hang out with. Now, if you want to hang out in bars all day long, hang out with those kind of people. If you want to live a healthy lifestyle, go to the gym and hang out with those people. These are choices that we all get to make in this phase of life. So here's a question for you. Did your father or someone who you're very close to have a life like I described with my dad? And if you did, I'd love to hear your story down below in the comments. Okay, so what can we do differently now based upon the story that I told and how to live a better retirement? So the first thing is you want to think about not just having a financial plan, but a life plan. And no one talks about this really. It's when you Google retirement planning, 99.9% of what comes up is financial planning. That's one of the reasons Jody and I started this channel as well, is because there's not a lot of people talking about what you can do in this phase of life, which we don't even call retirement anymore. We call it the discovery phase. This is when we get to discover who we really are. So that's the first thing that you can do, thinking about how to have a successful discovery phase. Let's use that word going forward. Second thing you want to do is write a new identity statement. I'm a huge fan of writing things down, of journaling. It slows the brain, because you can't, if you're typing faster than you can think or slower than you can think. But when you're writing, your brain slows down, your handwriting slows down, you get quiet, you get at peace. Start writing about, who do I want to be? What do I want to do? Where am I going to find my passion? And start writing an identity statement about who you're going to be in this phase of life. Seems like it's like, why would you do that? Well, if you don't do that, you're never going to figure out or spend the time figuring out who you're going to be. So really it's important to do that. All right. You also want to take a look at your habits. You want to do an audit of your habits. And if you have unhealthy habits, you want to find a way to stop doing them. And if you're missing out on healthy habits, you want to find a way to bring them into your life. Now, you've probably heard me say this before, but if you've got, if you're sitting around watching TV all day long and you're not, and you're not eating well and you're not getting out and meeting people, that has to change. You've got to put effort into walking, joining a gym, joining a social club, whatever it is, but you've got to find some healthy habits where you build community, where you're hanging around with healthy people, you're eating right, listen, I used to love McDonald's and Kentucky Fried Chicken. And that's because growing up, that was our comfort food, and Chinese food. I don't eat any of that anymore. And was that difficult to stop? Absolutely. It was really hard. All my career, when I was out on the road selling and I was hungry, McDonald's or KFC, every time. I don't eat that anymore because it doesn't feel good. And what happens is, when you stop eating it for a while it's hard because it's comfort food, when you stay away from it for a month or 2 or 3 or 6 and you have it again, you get sick. And the thing that told me was, that's how unhealthy this is for me, so that I know I really needed to stop for many reasons. The fourth thing you want to do is stop using alcohol as a way to numb your feeling. It's really a bad idea. That's what killed my dad. I tell people that he did not invent the 3-martini lunch, but he perfected it during his career. And unfortunately, he took his drinking into his retirement and 10x'd it. And he couldn't stop. He was an alcoholic. I loved him up to the last minute. I love him now. But it was sad to watch him use alcohol as a way to numb how he felt. What you want to do is nourish your body with good food and good drink, a lot of water, because then you actually do feel better. You're not numbing your body, you're nourishing your body. So that's something that you really want to think about doing next, okay? Make sure if you're drinking, and listen, there's a lot of doctors and people that say 1 glass of wine a night is fine. I don't drink anymore, and I feel better because of it. It's really your choice. If you can handle it and you like it, that's fine. But you know when you're drinking too much. And that is not a good thing for your health. Not if you want to have longevity and a really good health span, living a long time healthier. All right, down below there's a link to the 1-year retirement checklist. I want you to download that document if you don't have it yet. It's an amazing document to go through for a checklist. Even if you've already been retired, it'll make you think of some things that are really important for this phase of life, your discovery phase. Okay, the 5th thing you want to do is focus on rebuilding your circle of friends. You're going to lose friends at work. You're going to lose friends at home. We've moved multiple times since we've entered the discovery phase. We've left communities that we had friends in. Wherever we end up, we make it a point of trying to find new people. I find men friends. I find, Jody and I together find couple friends. She has her women friends. I'm in a men's golf league. She's in a women's golf league. We're in a couples golf league. We've met neighbors. We try going out to dinner with people. It doesn't always fit, but make the effort. I mean, that's the thing. People are not really going to reject you, but you'll know if you met the right couple, and you'll know if you didn't. But you have to be proactive about it and make sure that you're doing that. All right, the sixth thing, share what you know. All of us have experience, we have stories, we have capabilities, we have talents, we have gifts. Use those in some way during this discovery phase. And I say that because that's where you're going to find your purpose and your passion. That's going to be where you find a reason to get up in the morning. And that could be volunteering, serving on a board, writing a book. I mean, I wrote a book and I didn't even have any idea how to write a book, but it just came out. There's so much that you can do. You just have to get dedicated to making sure that you're doing something to make the world a better place, a community a better place, mentor young kids. Whatever it is, you really need to put some effort into that. Seventh thing you want to do, you've got to find structure. You've got to bring structure to your day. You cannot just get up and aimlessly wonder what you're going to do all day long. It does, once in a while you can do that. We do that. We say, what do you want to do on Saturday? And we say, you know what? Nothing. We want to get up and see what happens. And that's fine. But Monday through Friday, for me, I have a very strict, although I break it, but a very strict routine that I'm so used to now that by the time 9 o'clock comes around, my day is set. I get up at 3:45, and I'm not saying you need to do that, but you need to start getting up at the same time every day and put a couple of things in front of scrolling your phone or watching TV. So I get up, I read scripture, I journal a little bit, I have coffee, I have a protein shake, and I go to the gym at 4:45. I come back, I have coffee with Jody, she goes to the gym. Shower, get dressed, have another protein shake or have a breakfast, and by 9 o'clock, we're both ready for the day, whatever it is we're gonna do. But you need a little bit of structure, because if you don't have structure, you just end up spending your time wondering, what is it I'm gonna do? If you enjoyed this video, watch this one next. Give me 20 minutes and I'll save you 20 years of a miserable retirement. So watch this next.